Good morning, ma'am. Uh, so today's my topic is fundamentals of concepts of computer network. Okay. First, we need to discuss what is the major important of fundamentals of concepts of computer network means. That is the first major important rule. What are the different important things means? First one is data communication. Why we are supposed to use for the data communication means because it is one of the most important purpose of communication between two objects. Here, the term telecommunication means the communication at a distance, but it is not a small distance. Maybe it is a short or maybe long or medium. Whatever it is, the different distances we are supposed to use for this communication purpose. But here, the word data refers to the information presented in whatever the form is agreed upon by parties creating and using the data. Because most important thing is what data we need to refer, we need to transfer from place to other place. So that is most important we are supposed to use in the telecommunication system. Next, so apart from telecommunication, now we are supposed to use for the data communication. What is the major important role will be played? Because here exchanging of data between two devices, exchanging of data between two devices. How we want to exchange? By using a transmission medium. By using what? Transmission medium. Such as they are using a different type of mediums, that possibility is there. We need to transmit the data. First one, either you can transmit a wire cable or maybe wireless. So these are the two important things we can easily to transmit the data. Next, so there is some few important components also there. The first one is a delivery, second one accuracy, third one timeliness, and last one jitter. These are the four important major components is especially required for the data communication. We'll go for the delivery. What is the purpose of delivery means? Correct destination. For example, A is a one person, B is a another person. You are supposed to take information, you want to transmit from A to B, but we need to make the exact destination or exact correct address path is required. So we can easily to transmit the information from A to B. Second one, accuracy. That is accurate time is very important. Whatever your data transmitting from A to B. Third one, timeliness. It is a real-time transmission. Mostly all the users are most important thing components, especially for use for the data communication network. Next, we move on to the important topics. Today we need to discuss about the very important topics. The first one is a components. Second one, data representation. Third one, data flow. I need to go for the what are the different components is required, especially for the data communication network. First one, the message. First component name. Second one, sender. Third one, receiver. Fourth one, medium. There are 5 components of data communication are there. First one, message, sender, receiver, media, and protocols. These are the very important of 5 components is required for the data communication. So mostly they are following always these are the 5 important components is required. We'll go for how it is working. Now how we want to representation. Now components is finished. Now I need to represent for the data. There is a different types of representation is there. First one, textual you can message it. Third one, number format we can message it, and image format, audio and video. These are the different formats or different types is we can easily to mention of the data representation. First one, now we need to go for the representation is already completed, components we completed. Now we need to move on to the data flow. There is a 3 different type of data flows is there. First one, simplex format, half duplex and full duplex. Remember, very important thing, the simplex means it is only one communication. The mainframe to monitor, it won't be come back there because it is a directions of data, it is unidirectional information. Next, half duplex, because it is a direction of data is one time, the station again we need to direction of data of second time. So they are using a simplex and half duplex method. But last one is what? Full duplex, both sides simultaneously we can do it. Here the example is a walkie-talkie. Here the example is used for the mobile phones or TV. Mobile phones. So these are the most important thing is required for the data flow concept. Representation, components and data flow is we finished. Now we move on to the networks. Very most important concept especially for the data communication. Why it is most important means with these network they are most important thing. They are a different way of data transmission from place to place. They are using a network is set of devices. Very important. If you take one device, if you take more devices also, that possibility is there. Nodes connected by communication of links. Here there is two important things we need to require. Either you want to take a nodes and combine with what? Links. So a node can be computer or printer or maybe any other devices, that we can say for the nodes. But sending and receiving data generating by other nodes, that is completely on the network only. So especially this is completely definition of network, including major keywords is most important. Nodes and links are very, very important here. Next, so now I finished the network concept. There is a few important topics we need to discuss. So the topic means distributed processing system, one topic. Network criteria, it is mostly important. Network criteria is most you need to check for the performance, reliability and security. Third one, physical structures. There is a different type of connections is there, and topology concepts also comes under the physical structures. And also one of the most important concept is network models and categories of networks, LAN, MAN and WAN. Last one, interconnection of networks, because it is almost depends on the internet only. These topics we need to discuss now. Okay, we'll move on to the first one. Types of connections. Remember, very, very important. There is a point-to-point connections, because it is only single point connection link is possibility is there. So a dedicated link is provided between how many devices here? Two devices. So for example, here workstation is there, workstation, because it is containing between only containing two links only, because one workstation is there, another workstation is. The link is only single link we need to communicate. That's what they are using. A dedicated link is provided between the two devices. Simply we can say point to point. Next one, multi-point. Here we can say more than two specific devices. You are not supposed to take only two devices. You can take more number of devices. That possibility is there. But the link is only also single link. That possibility is there. Next, we move on to the next one. Next, physical topologies. They are the different type of topologies mostly used for the computer networks. First one, mesh topology, star topology, bus topology, ring topology and tree topology, and one more hybrid topology also there. These are the different type of topologies is there. Okay, now we move on to the first one. What is meant by mesh topology? Because first one, every devices has dedicated point to point link to every other devices to dedicated, because that is most important thing we need to remember. There is a few important points, especially from the mesh topology. The first one, link carries traffic only between the two devices it connect. Second one, a fully connected mesh network has, there is a one important condition is there, n minus 1 by 2, that is physical channels to link of n devices. Second point. Third one, every devices on the network must have n minus 1 inputs, and you want to make with the output ports. That you can say simply IO ports also there. Next, advantages of topologies. What are the advantages and disadvantages means? Here the traffic is very less and also robust, more secure and easy to maintain. These are the few advantages especially comes under the mesh topology. Next, disadvantages. It needs more resources, because it is a more resources means it required more cables and also more ports are required. It is more expensive also, especially. That is the one drawback here, that is disadvantage, especially in mesh topologies. So this is a complete diagram for the mesh topology. Next, we move on to the star topology. Very, very important this is also, because each device has a dedicated point-to-point link only at the central control. Here the major role is hub. If hub is damaged, the remaining all the devices maybe it is not supposed to work. That's what this is controller part of hub. So simply we can say controller, we can say the name we call it as what? Hub. So no direct traffic and link between the devices. So there is no direct connection with the device to device, but almost all you are supposed to use in a hub. In the central part, we need to communicate with all the devices. Next, what are the advantages and disadvantages, especially for the star topology? Advantages means it is very expensive, very less expensive and easy to install and reconfigure, and robustness. Why it is less expensive? Because the cables are very less. We can make it with only 4 devices and maybe central hub is there. Last one, disadvantages. There is a one more drawback here. Because the completely hub is failure, the entire process will be completely damaged. That's what we can say single point of failure is here. Next, we move on to the one more topology, that is a bus topology. So here it is a multi-point. So the starting cable end to ending cable end also, in between number of drop lines also there. That is most important, we can say a multi-point topology. All devices link to through the backbone cable. Okay. Nodes are connected to the bus cable by drop lines and taps. Most important, drop line and taps. What is most important drop line and tap means? Because here you can see connection running between two devices and main cable. So here also one drop line, here also one drop line, because both are connecting with a one main line. Next, third one, a tap, a connector that either specific splices into the main cable or punctures sheathing cable to create a contact with a metallic core. So this is one of the most important, we are using a tap. So according to bus topology, tap and drop line is very important at the end-to-end points. Next, what are the disadvantages and disadvantages? It is easy to install because it is only single cable. So disadvantages, it is difficult to reconnection and fault isolation, and broken or fault of the bus cable to stop all the transmission. If it is a one, if it is maybe something happened, the complete all the drop lines will be stopped. Next, we move on to the ring topology. Very mostly used for the, especially for the different network concepts. So here the station to station we need to make with a complete whatever the different type of stations devices we need to connect. Each device is dedicated. Why means because it is a point to point connection only with two devices either side of it. This side is one and that side is one. And next one, a signal is passed along the ring in the direction from device to device until it reaches to the destination. For example, you are supposed to take this is a source and this one is what? Destination. It starts here and it is combined with again it will become to the next completely portion for the destination part. So that is the most important to reach its destination. Each device is in the ring incorporate of by using what? Repeaters. Yes. Advantages for the ring topology. Relatively easy to install and reconfigure, and fault isolation is simplified. These are the very rarely case of advantages comes under the ring topologies. Last one is disadvantages. Unidirectional. It's one traffic because it comes under only unidirectional traffic. Next, last one, tree topology. So the tree topology integrates of multiple of topologies together. So here is one up, here also one more up, here also one more up. Because we are using the two topologies all together. For example, tree topology integrates multiple star topologies together onto a bus. So here also few advantages and disadvantages are there. Point to point wiring from individual segments. So here there is a separate segments. Here also there is a separate wiring of individual segments are there. Supported by several hardware and software vendors. These are the two advantages comes under the tree topology. Next, disadvantages. So here overall length of each segment is limited by the type of cabling used. Whatever limited cable is required, that is required for only the particular portion. So if the backbone line breaks, the entire segment goes down. For example, if it is a breakdown here, the entire cables may be completely stops the working condition. Next, more difficult to configure and wire than other topologies. Compared to other topologies, this topology is more difficult. Why means because it is required here also wires, here also wires, here also wires. Because the different segments require more wires. Okay. Next. So this is a completely part, hybrid topology. This is one of the most important hybrid, additional one, and it is a separate stations. They are linking with a different things, the source to destination one. Next concept is most important concept is categories of network, because there are major categories. The first one is what? LAN, WAN and MAN, and one more important WLAN. So the first one is local area network, and second one wireless local area network. Third one, metropolitan area network. Last one, wide area network. These are the different types of categories of specially used in network concepts. Okay, next. So for example, yes, mostly used for the LAN, it is only for the single building. Why means because it is only building or maybe school, whatever it may be. If it is a WAN, throughout universe we can suppose to use it. If it is a MAN, both metropolitan cities we can use for the MAN, because there is some frequency distance also possibility is there. Next, internet. The most important concept is what? Internet. This is one of the major important role will be used for the communication purpose, the data communication and internetworking purpose. So first one, internet has changed many aspects of our daily lives because it has affected the way we do business as well as the way we spend our leisure time. The internet is mostly used for the communication systems that has brought a wealth of information to our fingertips and organized it for our use. Why mostly used for the internet means if we want to maybe apply any application, we can suppose to use the internet. If you want to download any information, you can use internet. If you want to do any work, if you want to purchase anything, compulsory it is required for the internet. That is major important role will be playing in the, especially in network concepts. Now we move on to the few important topics. There is a brief history of ARPANET, Advanced Research Project of Agency Network, and 1967, 1969, 1972, they are the different type of protocols and what is the standards and the organizations. So they are using the internet today's internet service providers also, mostly they are using. Now we need to go for the hierarchical organization of internet because here we are using the structure of national ISPs, internet service provider. So there is a regional, this is a national wise. So we want to connecting with a one ISP and here one ISP. These two connecting with a regional ISPs. But this regional ISP is connecting with a complete national ISPs. So internet service provider. This is a complete part of structural national ISPs. Third one, interconnection of national ISPs because that is the most important middle part. We need to communicate with all the national ISPs. Next, protocols and standards. Very, very important concepts. Why we are supposed to use a protocols and standards? Mostly protocol is a synonyms with a rule and the standards are agreed upon the rules. These are the major important things we are supposed to use in especially in a computer networks. Next, the topics we are supposed to discuss about the protocol, standards, standard organizations and internet standards. Now we can go for the first one is protocols. Remember, there are the three major parts I divided here. The first part is the syntax, second part is the semantics, third one is timing. What is meant by syntax? It is a format of data. Then the proper format of data we need to use because we can easy to understand. If you mention the proper format of data, everybody can easy to understand. Second one, semantics. Meaning of each section. For example, if you mention format of data, it is okay. But the compulsory, the information should be meaningful. It is a different type of sections also we need to consider. Next, timing. When data should be sent and how fast. For example, if you want to transform from one place to other place, how much fast you are transmitting, how and what data should be sent, which data you want to send from A to B. So these are the major important steps comes under the protocols. Next, standards. There is two standards are there, de facto and de jure. So de facto is nothing but a by fact, de jure is nothing but a by law. De facto means not approved as a standards. They are not approved from the standards, but by law means it is a approved. Here approved is there, but here not approved as a standards. That's what we consider for the de facto and de jure. Next, protocols and standards. There is a few important standards, especially in the organizations. International Organization for Standardization. Simply we can say ISO model. Next, International Telecommunication Union, Telecommunication of Standards, ITUT. Next, ANSI, American National Standard of Institutes. Next, IEEE, Institute of Electronics and Electronics Engineer. Last one, EIA, Electronic Industry Associations. These are the few important standard organizations is very, very important, especially in the protocols and standards used in networks. Now we move on to the lecture model 2, that is the network models. So here, layered task, because totally there is a 7 layers are very, very important layers. Each layer, their major role will be played. So first we need to discuss about the introduction about the network model. Here, network model is a layered architecture and task broken into subtask. There is a one big task is there. That task I want to make with a subparts. Implemented separately in layers in a stack and functions need to be in both systems and also peer layer or communicate. These are the important things comes under the network model. Next, protocols already we discussed. But here also set of rules that govern us to the data communication and it represent the agreement between the communicating devices. Compulsory it is an agreement between two devices. So these are the protocols and layer architecture. Now you can see here task involved in sending a letter. I am giving a small example. One postal letter, the sender send a letter to the receiver. What are the different layers will be arised? First one, higher layer, middle layer, lower layer. Because these three layers will be automatically, they need to transmit the information. The first one, sender. Here the letter is written, put into envelope. Everything whatever you written in the letter, that make it insert into the envelope and dropped in a mailbox. The letter is carried from the mailbox to post office. Then slowly it is delivered to carry by the post office. Again the parcel is carried from next one. The letter is delivered from the carrier to the post office. You just identify here, it comes to the from, here to post, here to and here from. The letter is carried from the post office to the mailbox. The letter is picked up and removed from the envelope and read it. Who? The receiver. So this is a completely the small example for the task involved into the sending a letter. Now we need to discuss about the few important topics: sender, receiver and carrier services. So this is one of the most important model. Yeah. Now this is our complete concepts will be depend on the data communication networks. What is this means? OSI model. This open system interconnection, OSI stands for. Because basically if instead of you are going to the OSI model, first we need the establishment is most important. It is established in 1947, the International Standard Organization, ISO, is the multinational body dedicated to worldwide agreement, that is on the international standards. Now an ISO is the open system interconnection model, is the standards that cover all the aspects of network communications from ISO. It was introduced in the late 1970s, but this one is 1947, this one is 1970s. Now we move on to the first session, layered architecture, peer-to-peer process communication, encapsulation. Now you can see these are the 7 very important layers will becomes under, especially in the layered architecture in network model. The first layer is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation and application layer. All these 7 layers are very important layers. Mostly physical layer is always to taking a through wires, that is a data transmit from zeros and ones, and data link layer it is always taking the information from frames, and network layer is always taking from the packets. So these are the 3 important major layers will be bottom, but remaining all the top layers will be used for the application presentation session. The above 3 and below 3 and middle is the layer is transport layer is one of the major important role will be play all the 7 layers. Next. So I need to explain from the layered architecture. Layered model, each layer performs a subset of required communication functions, and each layer relies on the next lower layer perform the more primitive functions. Each layer provides service to the next higher layers. So most of the important things is it won't be changed, one layer should not require of changes in other layers. But the process of on each mission to given a layer are called the peer-to-peer process communications. Next. Remember, what is meant by peer-to-peer process? Mostly they are using a communication must move downward through the layers on the sending devices, over the communication channels and upward receiving devices. So that is the mostly important communication from the peer-to-peer process. Now, there is one more important point in the peer-to-peer process. Each layer in the sending device adds its own information to the message and receives from the layer just above it and passes the whole packages to the layer just below it. At the receiving devices, the message is unwrapped layer by layer. Each process is receiving and moving the data is meant for it. Next, P2P process. This is one of the most important. It is always played in the interface is a major important role. Next, the complete overall architecture, OSI model architecture. So here the concept is physical, data, network, transport, session, presentation, application. At other devices it mostly is in a second device. So sender and receiver in between, what are the process is going? It is maybe communication. The remaining transport to session, presentation, application, all it comes to the peer-to-peer process, but they are using a network like a packets, frames and zeros and ones, especially they are using. Now it is clear. So this is one of the most important of interaction between layers in OSI model. Now you can see I make it with a separate exchanger because there is a, this is completely D stands for data, H stands for header, T stands for trailer, because every information it's supposed to take about the first starting position. Next, layer by layer, it will be take automatically. The starting position is physical layer, it is like zeros and ones, then it is a frames, then it is a packets, then transport, application, session, presentation, all the layers will be comes under the session to session. This is comes under the transmission media format. Now we can see, we need to discuss about all the separate layers. First one, we need to discuss about the physical layer. What is most important in the physical layer? What are the functions is required? The physical layer is responsible for movements. What type of movements? Individually bits or from one hop to the next hop. Either you want to take a one bit or maybe another bit also, bit zeros or ones also. Suppose to take individual bits also, that possibility is there. Simply you can say it is one hop or you can say node also. Next, what are the major functions can come under the physical layer? First one, physical characteristics of interfaces and media. Very important, because interfaces and media. Second one, representation of bits is required. Third one, data rate. Fourth one, synchronization of bits. Last one, line configuration, because we are supposed to discuss about the previously point to point or multi-point, that comes under the line configuration. Next one, physical topologies. Already we discussed the physical topologies: mesh, star, ring, bus, ring and hybrid topology. Last one, transmission modes: simplex, half duplex and full duplex modes. So these are the important major functions comes under the physical layer. Next, I want to show the small diagram for the physical layer. So this is the small part, this is the header and this is the data. Here also header, data, because this is completely data. First one, from you are transmitting data and you need to receive from the receiver side, that is a data link layer. So both are, it comes under the physical layer only. This is the one representation of diagram for the physical layer. Next, I need to go for the next layer is what? Data link layer. This is the second layer in the bottom up, because the data link layer is responsible for moving a frames from one hop. There we are using a bits, here we are using a frames, one hop to nodes from the next one. So here also some functions is required: framing, physical addressing, flow control, error control, access control. These are the major important of what functions is required. Next, I need to show the small diagram for the data link layer, because here header is there, here what? Trailer is there. This complete we can say what about frame. Same frame we are transmitting from the other receiver side, header and trailer. So this is the one representation of diagram for the data link layer. Next, hop to hop delivery. Because I need to connect with a more number of systems in intermediate in between, we need to connect with the A to and end systems. Because I want to transmit from A end system, and there is end system is D, end system is F. In between number of intermediate systems also possibility is there. B is there, C is there, E is there. A is transmit the information from one link, but it will be connecting with a B. The B is supposed to send from which side, either C or E. They need to decide here, they want to transmit according to the link. That is finally reach to the destination of end systems. So this is the one possibility is there. Hop to hop delivery, A to B, B to E and E to F. Next, but in this complete part, they are using how many layers here? 2 layers, physical and data link layer. Next, so I am giving a small example for here. There is a physical address is 10 and the frames node with a physical address is 87. The two nodes is connected by a link, because here 10 to up to 87. So they need make with a, this is a trailer data, the source address is 10 and what about the destination address is what? 87. In between number of addresses possibility is there. Next, one more important, that is a third layer, network layer. The network layer is responsible for the delivery of individual packets. Data layer is taking a frames, physical layer is taking a bits and the network layer is taking a packets from the source host to the destination host. Here also few important steps are there: source to destination delivery and responsible from the delivery of packets from original source to the final destination. There is a few functions is required, very important functions, especially for the network layer. First one is logical addressing is most important, and second one is routing, because each and one route to another route we need to connectivity is required. So these are the major important functions is important in network layer. So this is a diagrammatic representation for the network layer. So here we are taking a header data, that complete part is a packet. whatever you are sending the information from sender side, that same information we need to transmit to the receiver side also, same packet. That is from to data link layer, from data link layer. This is the most important thing we need to remember. Next, so this is the same example, but before you are using a two layers, but now it is adding with a one more layer. So same thing, hope to hope delivery, but one more it is added, source to destination delivery. Next, so this is a one small example you are using universal addresses. Now you can see here I need to say 10, there is a 87 because it is a one address source and here one port, and there is a one more important, you are transmitting the data from different type of addresses path is required. So 10 to up to maybe 95, they are moving from 10, then 20 is connecting with one node, 71 also there, next 77, next finally 95, because each address link is we need to connectivity is required. Next, transport layer. This is the fourth layer. Transport layer is responsible for the delivery of messages from one process to the another process. So they are the major important process to process delivery, simply the concept. There is a few functions also required: port addressing, segmentation and reassemble, connection control and flow control. In connection control there are the two types: connection oriented services is there and connection less services is there. These are the two comes under the connection control. Flow control and error control, all the major functions comes under the transport layer. Next, so this is a diagrammatic representation of transport layer. Segmentation and reassemble. Remember, very important, why this segmentation is required, because earlier it was a packet is more, but that packet I want to divide it into parts. So that's what we are specially used for the segmentation and reassemble. For a H4 data, before it was a connecting with a single packet, but now I want to divide with the segments. Same information I need to transmit from the receiver side also. So this is the one diagrammatic representation I am giving. Next, so here also reliable process to process the delivery message, because it is mostly important. Whatever the process in middle, internet is a major important role. Sender to receiver, we need to transmit the data. So here network layer, it is connecting with the host to host delivery. Transport layer, process to process delivery, all the comes under the, it is information delivering process. Next, so this is one of the most important example I want to give. Application layer, transport layer, network layer, data link layer. Throughout the entire system, we need to connect with a logical addresses and trailers, data and header and internet. So this is the major important role will be played. Next, this is the 4 layers we completed. Next one, 5th layer, session layer. This session layer is responsible for a dialogue, control and synchronization. So what is the most important, because every time here the session layer takes time. It establish, maintains, synchronize the interaction between a communication system. So this is a major important thing we need to remember. What are the major functions is required? Dialogue control, synchronization, checkpoints. Very major important role will be playing in the checkpoints, because sometimes what happened, the information may be overlap. So if it is overlap the information, then automatically what happened, we can't see the previous messages. That's what we need to use for the checkpoints. Automatically we can control the messages. Next, so these are the synchronization techniques, especially using for the synchronization layer. So this is the one part, 2, 3. According to same thing, the header file you can transmit from the presentation layer. Next, presentation layer, 6th layer. The presentation layer is responsible for the translation, compression, encryptions. These are the 3 important keywords are very important, especially in the presentation layer. First one, connected with the syntax and semantics of the information exchanging between what? 2 systems. There are the few functions are there: translation, encryption, decryption and compression. For example, they are using an American Standard Code information interchange. Automatically whatever the text is there, you need to easily to translate, and the encryption format we want to make with a decryption. Then the information is very large, then I want to make with a compression format. These are the 3 possibility functions which comes under the presentation layer. This is a diagrammatical representation of presentation layer. H6, that is a header, data, that is whatever the information you are transmitting from sender to receiver. Next, last layer is application layer. Application layer is responsible for providing for service to the user, direct user they want to use it. So here few functions is there: NVT, Network virtual terminal, very important because the remote login here. File transfer and access and mail services, directory services. You can say supposed to distribute a database also. Last one, accessing the World Wide Web. You can access any information throughout the World Wide Web. Next. So this is a diagrammatical representation of application like layer. They are using a different type of file formats. We can convert it into the data, whatever the messages. Same we can transmit from the user also. So there are the different type of things, possibility is there. Next. So these are the complete summary of all the layers. Physical, data, network, transport, session, presentation, application. Simply we can say transmit the bits, media to provide the mechanical and electrical specifications, the down layer. Data link layer, simply you can say organizing bits, whatever the bit comes to the data link layer, bits into frames, it will convert it to frames to provide hope to hope delivery. Network, to move the packets from source to destination. The frame will come here and it is automatically comes packets from source to destination to provide internetworking. Next, transport. It is a reliable process to process messages, delivery and error recovery. If there is any error is there, automatically we can easily to recover because flow control and error control mechanism is here only. Next, session. To establish and manage the terminate the session. If the time is automatically finished, automatically time will be terminate. So that is will becomes under the session. Last one, presentation. To translate the encrypt and compress the data, finally to allow the access of network resources. All the important things are required from ISO model. So thank you so much for giving this opportunity.